Picture this. Everything is going great at work. You've hit your stride with the team, you're confident in your abilities, and you get along with your manager. Then you get an email announcing an organizational change. You have a new manager, your company's being acquired, or you're being asked to learn new ways of doing things. How would you describe your reaction to something like this? Most people have a negative outlook on change because it disrupts what they consider steady state and normal. I mean, why alter something that is already working? I bet for some of you this hits a little too close to home, and just thinking about it is creating a knot in your stomach. In this video, I'm going to walk through why we react this way, and more importantly, what you can do about it to reduce your stress levels despite the new disruption. Let's do this. In Chapter 2 of my book, The Excuse Index, I talk about why changes can feel like a physical assault. This is why it wears us out so much and sometimes makes you feel like punching a wall. Your brain is a habit-forming machine, and it loves predictability because that actually means safety. When a new manager, for example, or a new workflow is introduced, your amygdala, this is the alarm system in your brain, detects a threat. At this moment, it doesn't distinguish between a tiger and a new corporate reporting structure. It just knows that this is different and different is dangerous. This triggers something called cognitive dissonance. You obviously want to be a professional who handles everything really well. Ah, yes, major company reorganization, no problem. But your biology is screaming for you to retreat, even when you have very few details of what is in fact changing. It is an assumption that it is dangerous and that you need to flee. So you're having this mental internal conflict, and you end up resisting change completely, no matter what it is. This is an important mental milestone because this is where I see so many professionals completely tank their careers. You can very quickly and easily become the arms-crossed person in the back of the room that only sees what is wrong with any given situation. You start saying things like, they don't understand our culture, management doesn't get it, and everything was so perfect before. Of course, not all changes are going to feel amazing or immediately beneficial to you. The reality, however, is that we should expect things to change in a growing and thriving organization, and that's a good thing for your career. It can still be tough to deal with in the moment, though. Change is going to be difficult, but there are ways to train your brain to perform kind of an override of your default fight or flight feelings. So let's look at a common trigger. You just got a new manager to replace your old manager, and it's already begun to upset your world a little bit. I've got my future self framework here brought up, and this can be accessed on my website by going to daviddilday.net. You can access this via the menu at the top level for resources under the future self framework. So I'm going to scroll down on the future self framework to start with this target identity. Now, I want to walk through this scenario as normally with the future self framework, I will do a 1 to 2 year roadmap to kind of help you establish that full career trajectory. If you want more information around that, I've got my other masterclass that talks through that whole scenario. In this particular case, though, we're going to zoom in a little bit and focus on just this new hiring of a manager. Before we get started, however, I want to let you in on a little secret. This top-level target identity or mission, vision, is your underlying purpose for doing what you do. My purpose may be different than yours, but my own purpose has survived 4 companies, 20 managers, and countless reorgs. My purpose is to serve others or to be of service. So if my manager changes tomorrow, does my purpose change? No, I just have a new person to serve. If my department gets dissolved, does my purpose change? No, I just have a new environment to serve in. Regardless of your own unique purpose, when you define your why at this level, you stop panicking, you stop stressing, and you realize that while the vehicle, in this case your job, might change, the destination or your purpose is fixed. So this is what allows you to look at a new manager and say, I'm not here just to protect my old territory, and I'm ready for the new thing. So let's take that and look at the future self framework now. So we usually look at this as more of a 1 to 2 year plan to map out your career, but today we're using it as sort of an operating manual for your transition with this new manager coming on board. So what I've got here is more of a vision statement. We're going to start with the environment, and we're going to say that we're trying to be the senior project lead, and maybe that's our ultimate goal that we're trying to achieve. So I've got here as part of the environment is we're sitting in front of a senior level project team, and we're at an offsite strategy meeting. We're looking at a whiteboard discussing our next big initiative. And what I want you to notice, though, is that I'm not trying to box myself into very specific titles. I'm just saying that I am standing in front of an audience of some kind, mapping out something on a whiteboard, but that also gives me an idea of what it's going to look like in the future. Nothing has changed. My foundation, my core vision is still the same, even with this new manager, and that's what we're going to continue to map out. Next, we're going to look at our identity, or what are we wearing? How do we sound? What does it look like? So we're going to say that I'm wearing casual business attire, standing in front of a team, sounding very confident, very expert level knowledge, and I'm writing on a whiteboard my grand vision for the future or some kind of plan and a project. Again, this is not changing regardless of what my new manager or the reorg or any of that stuff looks like. So now we're going to look at the feedback. In other words, what is everyone saying after everything has been successful? And I'm going to say a team member has told me that after this strategy session that we just had, I'm overwriting on the whiteboard. I'm so excited to execute this plan. That would be something that I would love to hear as a senior lead or this new position. Again, nothing has changed. Even with the new manager, my vision is still the same. And then finally, we're going to have an internal shift, or what is something that I am worried about currently with the new manager coming in that in the future I am no longer worried about. So I'm going to put in that I might not have the skills or confidence in the moment to stand in front of a big team. So these are things that I'm going to work on, but I have some doubts now that future me, future self does not have anymore. Now I'm going to hit this button to generate my vision statement, and as you can see, it's taken all of the inputs that I had previously and put it into a nice paragraph that I can look at and reference whenever I am potentially having doubts about what I want to do in the future, especially relevant when I'm talking to the new manager. If they are wondering what is the future that you have in mind for yourself, how can you help me, how can you help this company, how can you help your career, this is what I'm going to focus on. None of that has changed. I'm grounded in my vision for my future. So now we're going to move on to phase 2 of our framework, which is the reverse timeline. In other words, taking our vision and rolling that all the way back to something that we can achieve on a milestone regular basis over the next 1 to 2 years. Now, even with the new manager in mind, what I have put in here is that I want to be the product operations director. Now, you can fill that in with a senior leader of some kind, but in this particular case, I'm going to talk about a project manager lead or a senior level leadership position within project management. Now, the way that I know that that has been achieved is that I have been given the title and responsibilities of a director. So even with the new manager in mind, this has not changed. Next, we're going to look at what needs to be true 6 months out of my finished goal, my finished vision statement at the 1 to 2 year mark. So what do I need to have accomplished or achieved in order to be this director leadership position that I'm looking for? So 6 months out, I put my milestone being the authority or the subject matter expert of whatever the project management method is for the company at the time. Now, it's very important to understand that that could change with this new manager coming in or a different company or a merger, an acquisition. All of that could change and upset my current vision. But if I have this mapped out, then the point is I still need to be the expert on whatever that needs to be and the authority on the project management method. So the way that I know that that's done is that I have achieved some kind of certification or skill in project management, and I've demonstrated it with my team and with my manager. So now we're going to keep going. What should be true 3 months out? And I'm going to say that my milestone would be that my personal goals of what I'm trying to achieve here are in line with the manager and the business overall. Very important that you have that. So how do I know that that's done? Well, I'm going to say that I have a very tight and high trust relationship with my manager, and I have alignment with the manager and the business on what we should be doing together in order to drive everything forward. And now we're going to look at the 1 month milestone and starting to get a little more real with this new manager coming in. What should be true at the 1 month mark? I'm going to say that I have taken some personal accountability and identified some skill or knowledge gaps and a plan to achieve what I need to. I've aligned with my manager, identified those gaps. So what would that look like? I'm going to say that we have an agreed upon plan and a timeline for training. So now that we've provided all that data, you can see that the framework will give you a timeline. And I think this is something that'd be really helpful to show your manager to say, I've given this a lot of thought. This is where I want to be in X number of months or years, depending on the org structure of the company. This is my goal. Most managers will take that under consideration, and the next step would be to align with them. This is not you forcing everything. This is you saying, I have career ambitions and I would love to understand what you feel I should do to get there. And now we're into phase 3, or the excuse breakers. And this is where we're going to establish some non-negotiables, some if-then statements to shield our mind so that we don't fall back into the old ways. Now, it's very important with this new manager or the reorg or the structure change at the company to establish these, because this is how we stay mentally strong. Now, the first one I'm going to put in here is this non-negotiable 15. And I'm going to say that every morning or week, depending on what the schedule is, I will ensure that the work that I'm doing aligns with the manager's vision. Now, that doesn't matter if it's the current vision, the new manager, the old manager, the manager changes 6 times in the next 6 months. My non-negotiable 15 is that the work that I do is going to align with the current manager's vision. And now we're going to set up some if-then shields for our mind. So the very first thing that I have is, if I feel the urge to be defensive in my first meeting with the manager, my amygdala is firing up, I have the alarm that I should flee because there's danger and disruption to my professional status. If that happens, what am I going to do? I'm going to say that I will set aside some time to review my roadmap with the manager to make sure that we're aligned and in lockstep. Now, for our final if-then shield, I'm going to say that if I find myself avoiding a direct conversation about my manager's expectations because I'm a little concerned about what they might say, I'm going to say that I'm going to ask them, what does winning look like for you in the next 90 days? So going back up to my non-negotiable, I'm ensuring that my work aligns with the managers. So what that's going to do is I'm going to block everything else out. It's going to help me lower my anxiety, because I know that every single day, every single week, I am focused on the same things that the manager is focused on. So regardless of how many managers I have or what the rotation is like, I always know that I'm doing the work that is expected of me. And here we are in phase 4, which is the weekly audit. And this is more just a checklist. Did you hit all of the milestones that you set out to achieve each week? Did you hit your non-negotiable? Is your work lining up with what the manager expects of you? Are you moving closer toward your goal? Are you trying to do everything you need to do in order to assess your skills? Are you doing more training to get to your director position, as we said about in this example? And then doing just a recheck. How is your mind at this point? Are you complaining about the new management scheme? Are you spreading gossip with the rest of the team about how terrible things are? Focus on the positive and where this is going to benefit you and help your career versus how it's going to slow it down. So you're going to take control of this, take control of your mind, understand that your amygdala is going to fire up whenever there are concerns that you need to flee immediately. We're going to block all of that out, and we're going to focus on the vision. Finally, we're just going to go to the bottom of our framework and generate the framework. And all this is going to do is take everything that we put in and put it in a nice one-page format to give you a sense of direction and give you a roadmap. So if you need a reminder, this is here for you. You can save this as a PDF, you can print it out, put it on your desktop, whatever's going to work so that you maintain focus throughout the entire exercise. Change is going to happen whether you're ready or not. You can stay attached to the old version of you and watch that expiration date get closer, or you can use the science that I've stepped through in this video and the future self framework to build the version of yourself that thrives in these unknown circumstances. I hope you found this video helpful as you work through changes in your workplace. If you want to see more masterclass content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're looking for help moving past other personal or professional hurdles such as time management, procrastination, or perfectionism, to name a few, check out my book, The Excuse Index. It's time to stop telling yourself all these stories and lies that keep you stuck in the past. Now is the time to start building your future together. I'll see you in the next session.